everybody. This is Tim Ashe, President of the Vermont State Senate, here with my daily update on Vermont's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's Friday, May 22nd. Quick reminder, if you did not see Wednesday and Thursday's updates, Wednesday I did a fairly detailed walkthrough of the governor's proposed first phase economic recovery package. It totals $400 million, and it is what I would call a first draft, which includes many provisions I know the legislature will work very closely with the governor on, some other ideas that I think need further incubation and development, and we'll also have our own ideas about some additional investments that we would like to see in that first phase, which could include a much more robust investment in broadband deployment throughout the state to support education, telehealth, and remote working. In terms of school facilities, we'd like to see, I think, more resources brought to bear there, so when kids go back in the fall, the buildings themselves will be healthier for kids to return to, and the teachers and staff, of course. And to make sure that the dollars are really getting out to the small business owners who desperately need it the most. Also want to include in a recovery package hazard pay grant program, which has passed the Senate and is now in the House of Representatives awaiting action. That would provide a very modest but really important grant on a up to 2-month basis, basically to recognize the risk many frontline workers were taking, and recognizing that they put their own health at risk and their families when they returned home. Also making sure to correct an imbalance where many people, by going to work, were actually making less money than if they had stayed home. So that does not feature in the governor's proposal, but we very much hope that will be included in any package that moves forward. It's absolutely critical that we honor the work that those people did, even now if it's a little bit after the worst sort of feared aspect of the public health crisis. That doesn't mean that it was any less stressful or anxiety in real time for the people who had to show up for work. Want to also on Thursday, so you can see this still on my Facebook page, I had a wonderful conversation from my point of view with Donna Carpenter of Burton, former CEO, now the chair of their board of directors. And Donna provided insights into what it was like in those first days for Burton when they saw the COVID crisis coming. And in fact, on March 13th, the date that Vermont set a state of emergency, was a sort of a worldwide snow sports facility recognition of trying to recognize those who have lost their lives, who were in the industry. And so it was a particularly meaningful moment, and kind of an interesting day when everything changed for them, but also talked about how she thinks that Burton is going to change forever as a result of what they've had to do to be flexible. And Donna also talked about the pivot they made to provide goggles and masks for healthcare facilities in Massachusetts, Vermont, and New York, which was really some amazing work that they did to step up and meet the need at a time when the supplies were a huge shortage of them. On a quick personal note, when I, basically on the first day when all of the senators and people in the House get sworn in, you take an oath of office when you get sworn in. It's like the images you see from Inauguration Day for the US president, but we do it in the Senate chamber, and all of us raise our right hand and repeat an oath. And one of those is that we will faithfully be guardians of the people. And many of you know that back in January, I had expressed an interest in running for lieutenant governor, and that my Vermont Senate tenure would be coming to an end. When COVID-19 came, I was very explicit that I would be pausing all active campaigning for lieutenant governor and dedicating my 100% focus to addressing the state's public health and economic needs. And I have been doing that, even if it's been to the detriment of getting a campaign up and running. I mention all of this for two reasons. One, I have really done my level best to make sure that every one of my video updates has been absolutely free from electoral considerations or partisan quality. I've only referenced, I think, Donald Trump maybe twice, which is hard to do in conversation in these days. And I've tried to limit my discussion about Governor Scott to points of agreement and areas where we're working together, and have sort of reserved anything that's critical for other forums and not for these. But you will be seeing on my Facebook page reference to my formal kickoff of my Lieutenant Governor campaign next Thursday, the 28th at 10 a.m. And I just wanted to be very transparent that I do have to start my campaign because the primary is on August 11th. 3 other candidates have been out there running basically every day all year while I've been doing my job leading the Senate and helping lead the state through this. So I don't want people to be confused when they see that, and wanted to just acknowledge that I will continue to try to make these as non-candidate-y as possible so that I'm providing good information to you, and I just wanted to get that out of the way. I've got a few brief updates, and then I'm going to keep it brief because I know that it's probably the most beautiful day of the year so far, and I hope many of you will be outside getting some fresh air and enjoying some well-deserved good weather. And really it's about 3 updates. The first is that today on May 22nd, bars and restaurants in Vermont are now allowed to go forward and have outdoor dining or drinking. The conditions upon which the bars and restaurants can do that is pretty highly regulated, with 10-foot distancing between groups of patrons, no more than 50 people, or the overall outdoor capacity of the particular establishment, whichever is lesser. And so there are going to be many establishments that say they can't make it work and they're not going to bother. But you will start seeing some outdoor dining and drinking establishments opening up. One of the things they're asking people to do is check in ahead of time to make sure that they can keep a log of who's been there. So if someone tests positive, they can do contact tracing after the fact, and then maintain those records for quite a while, just in the broader interest of public safety. So this is not going to be like going out has been up until March, but I think it is a source of optimism that some activities are starting to open back up. I did speak with the governor just this afternoon, and he continues to believe that we have to do things as safely and slowly so that we can keep making sure that we're maximizing the public health outcomes while we open up our economy more and more. And so we all have to continue to be vigilant while enjoying the little bit of extra liberty that we have from the public health point of view. Hair salons, many people have commented on my quarantine hair up until my partner's first attempt at a haircut for me over the weekend. And hair salons will be able to be open starting May 29th. They also will have a number of new requirements about how distant the patrons have to be, doing everything they can to eliminate any interactions that require touching things and passing things from person to person, including, the paying for the service. So again, not everyone will take the opportunity to open up, but it will be now possible. It will also mean that people will probably come up with flexible ways to cut people's hair right now, and that might include, home visits, although I don't know if that's allowed. But things like that, I think, are going to be the way many people who've been out of work are going to contemplate getting back into the game and starting to reduce the hair length of thousands of Vermonters in a short period of time, I suspect. The third news, this is going to be disappointing to many people. The governor said, in light of the continued uncertainty about larger group gatherings, that all state fairs are indefinitely canceled, which includes the Champlain Valley Fair and then all of the others around the state, whether it's Tunbridge, the Vermont State Fair in Rutland, and all the county fairs. So this is obviously very, it's a difficult bit of news symbolically, because many people, it becomes, a keystone element of their summers, and for the Champlain Valley Fair, it's kind of the season ender for many people. The Tunbridge World Fair, of course, the last one, and pretty legendary in its own right.